What's up, folks? My name's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to another episode of Indie Showcase. Some of you guys may remember a number of months ago, I actually did a live first impressions of this cool downhill bike racing game called Descenders. And I've actually got another game for you in sort of the same genre, but it's quite a bit different at the same time. And it's actually been out for a couple of months now, but I sort of tripped over it on the Game Pass app a little while ago, and it really struck me, and I wanted to show it off to some more people here. So this is called Lonely Mountains Downhill. It's actually out on PC and Mac on Steam, but you can also get it on Game Pass, both for the PC and the Xbox One, and it's out on the PlayStation 4 as well, so it's out in quite a few places here. It was a Kickstarter game, actually, put out by this very small, and I'm going to say quite talented team called Megagon Industries, and it's published by Thunderful, which a lot of you may remember. They used to be called Image and Form. They're actually the developer of the SteamWorld games, and they decided to get into publishing as well, and they've been putting out some pretty neat stuff. And this is sort of a top-down isometric thing, and it plays quite a bit differently than you might expect, but I have really been enjoying it. It's $20 US, only 22 Canadian. I appreciate them doing us a solid there on the currency difference. And like I said, it's in Game Pass as well if you do have access to that. So, yeah, this is a neat concept that I really do want to show off to you guys here. So, unfortunately, one little thing, which is at time of recording, the leaderboard server for this game appears to be down. It actually took an update just before I started recording, and right now the leaderboard server won't connect for the online stuff. I hope they get that fixed pretty soon. I've already tweeted at them and asked about it, so we will see. But this game it's kind of arcadey, but not at the same time. It reminds me of some, there were a few games like this way back in the day that kind of played like this, and it reminded me of that a little bit, which is probably why I like it. And you're going to notice one thing as well. There is no music in this at all, anywhere. So the lack of music here is not because I have that turned down or you're missing something. There's literally no music in this, but I actually don't think the game is worse off for it, which I know is really strange. But we'll get into that. So, yeah, basically it is a downhill sort of time challenge racing game, and it has 4 mountains in it, each of which have 4 different tracks on them, and you have to unlock them as you go, but unlocking future stuff is not that difficult, and I'll go into a little bit about the systems here. So we're going to start on the first trail because that's the one I'm least likely to be horrible at. But so you can pick that here, and you'll see here, you saw there at the beginning that there's multiple different difficulties. So every track you have to do once on the Explorer mode, which is there's no challenges, there's no pressure, it's just get to the end. And by doing that, you unlock other things, which is to basically beat a trail with a certain number of crashes or fewer, as well as time targets. And if you can do those, you unlock different paint jobs for your bike, different parts to get different bikes, as well as cosmetic things. And then eventually you unlock different challenges and different mountains and trails to run on as well. So I'm going to show you guys this here. So we're going to go with the first trail. Now you see you have different bikes here that have different options. The one problem I have found is that getting the parts to unlock other bikes has been pretty hard so far. I basically haven't unlocked another bike yet, and I played this for a fair bit. So you're going to have to grind a little bit more than I think maybe you should have to in order to do that. So there's going to be tutorial tips here because this is the first map, but the others don't have that. And again, you can see the little offline thing in the corner. Again, that's because the leaderboard server is down right now. Hopefully it won't be for long. So you're sort of seeing here how this works. Now, the thing about this, they recommend playing this with a controller. It will let you play with the keyboard, though I think that would be pretty rough because this game is very analog in its movements, as you can see here. The key thing with any game like this, also guys, just a little thing, I don't know if you're seeing any frame rate stutter in this. I'm seeing it on my monitor. That's my recording software. The game actually plays smooth as glass on my PC, so if you're seeing stuttering, don't blame the game for that. But the key with any game like this is it needs to have very tight controls. And the default steering system on this, I think, is quite brilliant. Basically, oh god, well, sorry bro. So it's actually quite simple. You accelerate and decelerate with the triggers. You have a little boost button there, which is what that meter is at the top, which is the A button. And you turn by literally holding the analog stick, the left analog stick, in the direction you want your rider to face. Now you can switch to a different control system that is a more traditional one, which is that your character turns in whatever direction you hold the stick. And you sort of want to, you don't point and aim, you're actually doing, you know, the actual turning traditional ways like you did in a lot of normal racing games and that. A lot of people will want to default to that because it's familiar. Don't. Give the default control scheme, which is what I'm using now, a chance, because it is sublime when you get used to it. And it only takes a couple of runs to get used to it. It's very, very precise. It's very snappy, very tight. And that is absolutely required for a game like this. So you're sort of seeing what I'm doing here. I'm going through the various different checkpoints, trying to get to the end as fast as possible. Now, there is a trail, as you can see, and you can stick to that, but if you want to... Okay, well, you don't want to do that. But if you want to get some of the expert level time targets, you have to find shortcuts. Like, no two ways about it. There's no way you're going to beat this game sticking to the road if you want to do the expert level challenges. And you can see here I'm already falling behind my previously established time. And you can find shortcuts in this. You see this trail I'm going on, but you may have seen, if you've been watching as I've been going here... Oh yeah, you got to do stuff like this sometimes too. But you may have seen, if you go back and look through the track through some of these runs, you may be seeing that there were places where I could have taken shortcuts, basically by leaping off, you know, doing something like that, which that was too big a fall, but you get the point. Actually, here's a spot where I know that I can do it, except okay, kind of screwed it up, but I'm doing this badly just so I can show it to you. So you see there, see how I cut down there? There are little shortcuts like that all through these levels, and if you want to post the best time, like I said, you got to find them. And it's a process to find them. You're going to have to go and explore these tracks a lot if you want to max that stuff out. But it is super satisfying when you do manage to locate one, and especially because one time I found a shortcut like that and managed to shave like 11 seconds off a checkpoint time. And I was just like, say what? That's amazing. And you can absolutely do that with this. And uh-oh. Well, this is going to go poorly, I think. I should not have survived that at all, but that's pretty amazing. So, yeah, you want to really min-max the tracks, and I personally think the level design in this game is brilliant. They did such a good job at making these tracks that are they're really, really fun, because they have obviously a lot of turns and a lot of big jumps and things like that. So they're a lot of fun to get through. So I beat the checkpoint there, but you see that expert goal that I'm on right now is 2 minutes or less, and you can see 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Like, I got some work to do. But interestingly enough, you can do this and go back to the free ride if you want, though going back up the whole way up through the track is certainly not ideal either. But you can, if you want, you can go back into the explorer mode and just sort of mess around and, you know, figure out how you want to get through the track. And finding all of those different shortcuts, it's probably not going to be for everybody, in the sense that some people are going to find that very grindy and kind of boring. Other people will absolutely adore that. Going back through the old tracks, actually I'm going to change mountains here, because each mountain is a very different environment than I'm going to show you here. People are going to love, I think, going through these tracks and finding everything. Okay, here's a new track I've unlocked. We've literally never done it before, so we're going to see this here for the first time. And again, you see here, there's 6 different bikes, but like all the challenges I've done already, and I haven't unlocked parts for most of them yet. I do think getting the parts to get to your new bikes is a little bit grindier than it should be. There is a lot of cosmetic stuff, which is kind of cool, but yeah, unlocking more bikes would be handy, especially since they all play very differently, and it would actually be very helpful for... Oh, sorry, dude. So when you wipe out in this game, it's pretty funny. You see it has this very blocky art style, which I actually really like. I think this game looks really, really good. And when you fall to your death, it's not super graphic, but you get little pixelated blood that comes out, and it makes some like gnarly wipeout noises, which I think is more funny. I like games not unlike that. See, I like games that do that only because it makes you feel a lot less frustrated when you fail, because at least you get to giggle at watching your character, you know. Wow, okay. Oh, well. Yeah. You get to watch that kind of thing, so that's enjoyable. I don't tend to use the brake enough. That's a big problem of mine. So, but you can see the tracks get a lot gnarlier here pretty quickly. And yeah, but given that the bikes do play quite a bit different from each other, I really do think that you maybe needed to... I think it needed to give you a bit of a better way to unlock different bikes more quickly. Sorry, guys, my dog is coughing beside me here. You might be hearing that. Apologies. I think they should definitely have made that a little bit easier to do. But yeah, I have just been really having fun with this, even though I've kind of quickly reached a point where it's gotten very, very challenging. And it's just because I really do like the look of it. I like the perspective, and the controls are just so good. And it's so quick to restart from a checkpoint, and this is a game you can actually play in short sessions if you want to. You know, it probably, you know, you get a bit of a muscle memory built up. A longer session when you're trying to master a track is probably ideal if you can pull it off, but you could do it in a short session too if you wanted to. And I just really like the way they design the systems in this. I like the cool track design. I like how inventive and hidden the different hidden paths are to get you down. There's also these things called resting spots and levels that you can unlock. I don't think they really get you anything except achievements, but you can look for those as well. They're also not the easiest thing to find either. And I really do like the fact that you have an opportunity to really take your time and explore if you want, and find every little nook and cranny to get through it, especially when you're competing for leaderboard times. And again, this game would not be as good as it is if they screwed up the controls with this entire thing would fall apart. And they really didn't do that. I also like the way the checkpointing system works. So there are a lot of checkpoints in each level, but what's cool about it is that if you're doing a run for time and you wipe out and you have to reset, your time always resets to your best time from the last checkpoint. So if I wipe out and I hit the button to restart and it takes me back to a checkpoint, the clock doesn't keep running, and I haven't ended up in a situation where I'm like, well, I'm completely screwed here because, you know, I failed once and I'm never going to be able to beat the target. No. If I reached a checkpoint 1 in, say, 20 seconds, and I'm up to 45 seconds in my run and I have to restart, the clock resets back to 20 seconds. So you always have the opportunity to, when you wipe out, as long as you've checkpointed, oh, that couldn't have gone well. As long as you've checkpointed, you still have an opportunity to pick up that great run and submit the really great time that you want. You just, rather than having to go back to the beginning. I think that's a very smart idea. A lot of racing games will checkpoint to give you a point to restart at, but they won't reset your clock. So it kind of, if you're going for your best times possible, it kind of renders the checkpoints pointless, no pun intended, maybe a little bit, because you have to restart from the beginning anyway in order to get a good time. This doesn't do that, and I think it's a very smart system that I hope we see a lot more games use. These guys aren't the first to do it, but it's something you don't see often, and it fits the casual but also hardcore. Hardcore? I don't know. It fits the vibe that they're going for here really well, which is, this is a game that it gets hard fast, and it's definitely a hardcore game at the end, but I think it straddles the line really well of being something very easy to learn. Like, I could take somebody who doesn't play a lot of games, put them in front of this and go, look, I know controllers intimidate you, but this game is literally 3 buttons, the 2 triggers and the A button, and take the analog stick, literally point it in the direction you want the guy to face. It's not hard to explain to somebody. Somebody could easily pick this up, and in the Explorer mode, where, you know, there's no penalty for failure, they could just screw around and go, yeah, this is cool, I get this. And then, there we go. Ooh, that's a tricky one. And then you get a little bit better each time you play it, and a little better and a little better, and you start unlocking some challenges, and you start filing some better times, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. And shortly after that, you're into it. You know, if this is a game where, if there's a game where you have someone who doesn't play games but who would like to, but every time you try to sit them down with, you know, a more typically hardcore game like a first-person shooter or something like that, and they just look at the million buttons on the controllers and the million different combinations and just go, this is not for me, you know, I can't do this, it's too confusing. I think this is a really good gateway game, actually, because, again, the controls are stupid simple to pick up. It responds super well, so they're never going to feel that they're fighting the game or that they're fighting the controls. Every time I wipe out in this, I never get mad at the game because it feels like my character is doing what I'm telling it to do, and that when I wipe out, it's because I'm not good enough. Which is another key thing, is to make people feel like the game is not working against them. But if they choose to put the time in, they can get good at it, and this game can get super hardcore, but it doesn't require it either. While the bikes are too hard to unlock, so far unlocking additional tracks and mountains has not been hard at all, in fact. And you don't have to max out the expert challenges in order to be able to progress further in the game. As long as you can do the normal challenges, which are not that hard. It's like, some of the normal challenges are like, beat the map in 5 minutes and crash less than 25 times. You know, some of them are not that bad. And if you're willing to work at that, the game will always drip feed you some more content to do. So you're never going to get stuck at a point and be like, this game sucks, I got to this point and I'm not good enough to get any further, so it's just punishing me, I don't want to play this anymore. You know, it's not like that at all. There we go. So we unlocked that track. There we go. And so I think this game struck a very interesting balance for itself. So you see here, if we go to beginner, see 3 minutes or less, that might be a little tough. 240 or less, also a little tough, which unlocks another trail. Or 16 crashes or fewer, which unlocks another mountain. So, I mean, there you go, right? Not too bad. And you can add the challenges in that you want or remove them. So, to show what it will show you in this. So, you see here, if I run this, you're going to see the challenges appear in the corner there. There it is. And it shows, now you see we've got the timer, we've got the checkpoint timer in the other corner, we've got a crash count, we've got all that stuff. So it makes it very easy to keep track of what you want. It will show you both visually and audibly when you're not going to, you know, when you're coming up on a goal and it's like, hey, you might not make it or you haven't made it, so you know to either restart a checkpoint or just redo your run. So I'll get to a checkpoint here so you can see how that works. But you're kind of getting this. It's at its core a very simple idea. In terms of the way this works. But the level design and the controls are so good, and the ramp of the challenges, again, with the exception of the bike unlocks being too tough in my humble opinion, dang it, the challenge curve is so well done that it straddles that casual and hardcore line really well. And it has... the fact that this doesn't have any music doesn't bother me at all. And of course it leaves you free to put your own music on if you want to do that. And I think it just does a great job in terms of straddling that line between casual and hardcore without alienating either. And it looks really good, and there's just enough humor in it when your guy wipes out to remove any frustration that you might feel from failure at the game. So, yeah, I really like this. Like I said, somehow I missed word of this coming out, but I think it's a bit of a hidden gem that people really shouldn't miss, especially since it's out in a lot of places and it's fairly, it's fairly accessible. So that is Lonely Mountains Downhill. It is available, as I said, on Game Pass as well, on PC and Xbox One, as well as on Steam and on the PlayStation 4. Lots of options to play this. Would be cool on the Switch, but I don't know. Maybe there might be a technical reason for it. This doesn't look super complicated, but because it's reliant on a very consistent high frame rate, I could see maybe the Switch having some issues with that. But maybe we'll see a port later, who knows. I think this is really cool. And if you like the downhill racing stuff like that, and if you like sort of arcadey titles with a bit of a hardcore bent to them, I think you might enjoy this, so I would recommend going to check it out. So thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you did like what you saw here, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell, thumbs upping the video, and leave a comment and let me know what you think about this, or if you've tried this and have formed a bit of an opinion about it from there. And if you do want to see a regular variety live streams, including of indie games on a regular basis, you can drop me a follow over at mixer.com/pxabstraction. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Indie Showcase. Take it easy, guys.